Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Tochi. You're very much welcome. Please consider subscribing and like this video. All right, and to my returning subscribers, you guys are welcome back. So guys, today we'll be comparing living in Australia and living in the United Kingdom. We've compared quite a number of countries, USA, Canada, and today we're comparing living in the UK and Australia. So if you're planning to move to any of these countries or you live in these countries already, just let us know what you think in the comment section, and then we'll just tell you as well what we think about these two countries. So please sit back, relax, and don't go anywhere. I have a special guest here and she will just introduce herself and then we'll dive right into the video.
Hi guys, my name is Uche and my channel name is Niger Mom in Australia. I live in Australia, and in my channel I talk about how you can migrate to Australia through Nigeria by doing it by yourself, because I believe in research and DIY. So yeah, just anything about Australia is what I do. So welcome to today's video.
Yeah, so let's start from the very important one, which is jobs, money. What would you say about availability of jobs in Australia, the pay, and everything that has to do with jobs? Maybe after school, are there opportunities for students who graduate in Australia to get jobs, dependents? Generally, people in Australia, what is jobs and the pay like there?
Okay, so let me start with the pay, because that one is very interesting.
Yeah.
You know, Australia is one of the countries that pays very high minimum wage. As at today, our minimum wage is $20.33. And we just had a new government which is trying to increase they are planning to move our minimum wage from the 20 to 21. And in Australia, people earn more than that. Like, for example, if you're in like disability, and even if it's casual job, you earn from $36 and above. So yeah, nobody earns less than $20, except if you're like a minor. You know, in Australia, you can start work at the age of 14. So those ones, they pay them the minimum wage or a little bit less. But once they turn 18, they are earning the same like an adult. So for job, there's a lot of jobs in Australia if you are ready to work. And if you're not picky with jobs, you know, some people would migrate. Instead of them to take up any job that will put food on their table, they will be like, okay, because I'm a manager from my country, I will not do some jobs. As long as you're not that kind of person, there is always a job for you. And there are jobs too you can get when you arrive in Australia that you don't really need experience to get those jobs, like cleaning jobs, factory jobs, warehouse jobs. You don't need any much experience on that. And for students too, depending on the course, because it's very good when you're coming to Australia to study, you would check Australian shortage list. At least that would guide you on what you're coming to study. You cannot, I'm not saying that someone that studied business administration will not get a job, but you can't compare that person with someone that came to study anything that has to do with health, IT, finance, and all that. You understand? So yes, depending on your job will determine how fast you will get job. Yeah, so it's an advice for students to look out for the kind of course to study that would help them, because nobody wants to finish studies and go back to their country. So you need to study and have something that can give you a permanent residence in Australia.
Wow, that's really impressive. For the UK, yes, UK has its minimum wage as well, but it's not up to $20. So yeah, and it also depends on the kind of work that you do. But generally, I think the minimum wage is about £9 something, and so yeah. But for you to even survive on the minimum wage, you have to probably pick extra shifts or do extra jobs to keep up with the bills you have to pay and everything. But for those other big jobs like those in the healthcare sector, IT, engineering, they earn quite better than those that are just doing the basic jobs. So yeah, and then for students as well, it's basically the same thing. You have to look out for jobs on the UK occupation shortage occupation list. That way,
Yes.
you know that you stand a chance of getting a job after your study in the UK, so that you don't go back. Because you after your study, you need something to keep you back in the UK, and it's
Yes.
basically a job you need. So you have to check the shortage occupation list or look out for the availability in the job market and know
Yeah.
what's up so that you know the kind of course to go for, that you will stand a high chance of getting a sponsored job after your study in the UK. So now, having said that, we'll now move to rents,
Okay.
cost of houses, renting, and all that. And would you say it's cheap to rent houses in Australia, or is it on the high side?
I would say it's depending on where you are. Like me, I live in regional Australia. I live in Queensland, and I'm not just living in Queensland. I live in the regional area. So I can't compare myself with someone that lives in like Victoria, Sydney, Brisbane. Sure, the rent there will be a bit higher than my side. Like my area, you can get a 3-bedroom apartment for like 350, depending on the suburb you're looking for. There is other places you can even get it less, like 200 and something. So depending on your pocket and what you're also looking out for. This, what I said, is weekly rent, not monthly, because in Australia we pay weekly. We pay our rent weekly because the
I
salary
was
too.
almost about to shout.
No, the salary
As
too
I
is
just packed my
crazy.
bags now, I moved to Australia.
Yeah, so if you live in the city, there is very much that you would pay higher than someone living in the regional area. That's why too that Australian government is trying to declutter the metropolitan and asking people to move to regional area where you can save more and have a very good life and still save a little bit of money from your salary. Yeah. So when you're in regional area, rent is not as high as metropolitan.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing everywhere. The bigger cities, you tend to pay more on
Yeah.
rent when you live in the bigger cities than when you live in smaller cities. So for the UK, if you live in London and those type of big
Yeah.
cities, you tend to pay higher than if you live in small cities. So it's basically the same thing. So it depends on where you're moving to in the UK. So
Yeah.
if you're coming, my advice usually is if you're moving to the UK, try and move to cities that are, way affordable, so you don't
Yeah.
spend all your money paying rent
Yeah. We call
because
it
you collect your
regional.
money, your salary monthly, and then you pay your
Yes.
rent monthly.
Yes. We
So if
call
you
it
live in
regional area.
expensive cities, as the money is coming in, everything is going on rent.
Another thing I wanted to add is because Australia pays a higher minimum wage, it would actually cover your rent and everything. So at the end of the day, what they are paying you, you understand, can cover your rent wherever you are. So you're not losing that maybe because you're in the metropolitan, you're paying more and you're not getting something back, or yeah, because the minimum wage covers a lot of things. Yeah.
So moving on, we'll now talk about tax. So for the UK tax system, people say that it's quite on the high side. And some people still say that it's okay so long as you're seeing what the tax is going into. And there's just been an argument back and forth. So what would you say about the Australian tax system?
Okay, Australia called theirs is income threshold. To me, it's high because as long as they're removing money from your salary, nobody wants that. So Australian tax is high. But one thing with Australia is that at the end of every financial year, you still get a tax back, which is a tax return. And there are other ways too you can make your tax not to be high. Like if you join an organization that have what they call salary sacrifice. So they help you to manage your tax. What do they do? Before they pay you your salary for the week or for the fortnight, they would have removed your living expenses or whatever you sacrificed. You understand? Before they would now tax it, which help people to have a lesser tax. Apart from that, Australian tax is high and it depends on your income threshold, like I said as well. if you're earning 0 to 18,000, you will not be taxed in Australia. Then 18,000 to 45,000, 18,000 to like 45,000, you will be taxed 19%. So it goes on according to your minimum wage. It is high. Australia have high tax, but the two things I mentioned, that after financial year you can get a tax return, makes it a little bit easy, knowing that you get something back from the government.
That's cool. For the UK tax, I've explained everything in details on my channel about how the tax system works and how you can calculate your tax and all that. Oh, let's not dwell on it so much. So I'll leave the link of the video in the description box if you want to know about that. So we'll now move to health care. Very important. Health is wealth. So what is healthcare system like in Australia?
Australia has a healthcare scheme called Medicare. So this Medicare, it's not for everyone. It's free, but it's not free. What do I mean by that? If you're a permanent resident or a permanent resident of New Zealand, because we have something in common with New Zealand, or a citizen, you are entitled to Australian Medicare scheme. And some visas as well enable you to have access to that. So not everyone in Australia can have access to this Medicare scheme. So this scheme allows you to go to any public hospital and treat yourself, and you wouldn't pay. However, if you go to a private firm with your Medicare card, you will pay some percentage amount by yourself. And also some people like our aged care or some people on concessions can also get free or cheap medications with this Medicare scheme that Australian government have brought out for us. So yeah, not everyone can have access to that. There are some particular visas you will have, like the 491 skilled provisional visa or the 482. You can actually have access to that, but every other one, you have to check your visa to know if you're eligible to have that. But if you are a permanent resident or citizen, you're good to go.
This is one thing I love about living in the UK, the healthcare system. It's free, especially if you're in the healthcare sector. For those who are not in the healthcare sector, like maybe like students and some other people, you pay like a health surcharge. But aside that, it's free for every other person. Then when you become a citizen, it's free for you, for your children. So I think that's one thing I really love and about the UK. And the NHS is doing really well. So the UK healthcare system is really nice. Very nice. So yeah. So talking about free things now, talk about school.
Okay.
School what is it like in Australia?
Okay. Australia public school for permanent residents and citizens is free. Apart from that, depending on your visa as well, will determine whether you're paying school fees or not. So like I'm in Queensland and I came with a provisional visa. I did not pay school fees for my kids as long as they are going to a public school. But someone with the same visa as mine going to NSW or South Australia would pay school fees. Some call it a levy, some call it school fees. You understand? So it depends on the state you're coming to. If you're not a permanent resident of Australia, you might or might not pay school fees. But if you're a permanent resident of Australia or New Zealand or a citizen and your child is going to a public school, you will not pay school fees. You only pay for the books and uniform and your kids start school. And for kids in kindy, Australia, you are the one that will pay for your kindy because they don't pay for that, except if you have some benefits for your child. Then the government will pay some token, right? And for early child, the Australian government will give you some subsidies for your child if you are eligible, not for all Australians as well, except if you're a permanent resident or citizen or your visa covers you to have a subsidy in Australia.
All right, that's good. For the UK, the school system is free from 3 years a child can go to school for free to secondary school. So
Whether
except it's now, yeah, whether you are a permanent resident or not, whether you're a citizen or not. So from 3 years, every child goes to school for free in the UK. So where you have to bother your head is now maybe before 3 years. So from 1 to 3 years, you now
yeah,
have to decide if you want your child to go to a pre-nursery, if you want a nanny, if you want a child minder. That's where
yeah.
you pay for it yourself, and it's not cheap. 3 years and above, it's free. So yeah. So what would you say about the cultural diversity and the people of Australia? What is it like?
Okay, Australia people are wonderful. Yeah, they are, and we are multicultural. That's why they said Australia is a multicultural country, because here we have different people, different cultures, different countries living in Australia. You have people from all over the world. And you know, the origin of Australia, people came into Australia to colonize Australia. So it's a multicultural country. The people there are friendly, and I have not met anyone that is, look down on someone like mostly migrants. They take you as you are. And Australia, it's not a place you show off. Some people will come to some country, they will want to show, oh, I have this, I have that. They are laid back. They know Australia as a laid back country. We are free people. Let me put it like that. We are free people. We respect one another, both cultural, religious. They don't discriminate, and they go their way to help you. Like, for example, when we migrated here, I just joined the group and I met someone that really made our journey so simple. And is a white person that have never met me anywhere. Australia would go a long way to help you, as long as you're truthful. So they are nice people. Yes, there are other people that you would meet, and I don't want to use the R word. They are everywhere, but the majority of them are welcoming people. Yeah, and they
Yeah.
are always having a smile on their face to, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's same with this UK as well. And it also depends on where you live, because majority of people I've met are really nice, they're generally friendly and kind people. Though
Yes,
sometimes you might experience, a form of that, but generally they are really nice. I think it's maybe 1 out of 10 that you might
exactly.
experience in that, but generally they are nice and welcoming. And then you meet blacks, Asians, it's multicultural as well. You meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And for the weather, before we conclude about the weather, so let me go first. For the UK weather, right?
Yes.
It's so unpredictable. Like, especially during winter. Today now is raining, the next minute is sunny, and then you're like, okay, let me go out. By the time you walk from here to your estate gate, it's raining. Like, it's so unpredictable. Even now during summer, it's trying to get better, but
Yeah.
it's like there was a day, I think on Friday, everybody was just making noise. It's going to be very hot. It's going to be hot. So Friday passed, it was really hot. But the next day, it was so cold. And I'm like, but yesterday was hot. I mean, people brought
Yes.
out their fans. How come it's cold today? So yeah, it's just like that. It can be so cold, and then when it's hot, it can be so hot.
Yeah, I think Australia, people always say, oh, Australia is a very hot country, but I don't think so. We have only 3 states that will say that is hot during winter, which is the Northern Territory, has this Nigerian weather, just rainy season and dry season. And Queensland is called the Sunshine State. They are the place you can see 6 months of real good sun and all that. And Perth, that's West Australia. Apart from that, every other place in Australia is cold. Like what you were talking about, 4 seasons in a day, that is Victoria. We have that in Australia. That, like they said, I've not been to Victoria, but people that have been there said, if you're going out, just take your umbrella, take your jacket, and also hold something else, because it might be very hot from your door. Before you enter your car, it's raining. Before you get to where you're going to, it's very cold. So Australia, people mistaken Australia that is a very hot country. It's not. We've seen a minus in Australia. Yes, we've seen a minus, and there are some places in Australia that have snows. Yeah, because people think that it doesn't snow in Australia. It might not snow like the other first world countries, but Australia is a very cold country. And if you're coming to Australia within June to September, please dress up very well, because that's winter. Because we're in winter now. Because we're in Southern Hemisphere. When every other person is on summer, we're on winter. So people will not make the mistake and just wear boxers and come in during June. Yes. Yeah. So that's
all right. Thanks for informing us. I wouldn't have even known if you didn't tell us.
All I have to say is that if you wish to come to Australia, Australia is a wonderful country with a lot of benefits and a lot of opportunities. So all you need to do is do more research and apply for your visa, whether you're coming through student or skilled immigration. And if you're coming through visiting visa, remember that Australia will not allow you to work. And if you do that, you might be in a serious trouble. But without that, Australia is a very nice country to visit or migrate to. Don't mind the 25 hours of flight from all over the world. But hey, when you come in, you adapt with all of us.
All right, so thank you very much. We really appreciate. Thank you. We've come to the end of this video, so please like, subscribe, share this video, and please visit Niger Mom in Australia's YouTube channel. I'll try and leave the link to her channel in the description box and show her support. And if you want to know more about moving to Australia, her channel is there for you always. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. I'll see you guys in my next one.
Thank you. Bye.